Day 59, just wrapping up my walk for the morning, getting a lot of thinking done. It's Friday. Beginning of April already. So crazy. The only thing I was really thinking about today is, since I'm on day 59, have about 16 more days to go. By that time, I'll be wrapped up with The Wealthy Gardener, which is a great book. Thinking of possibly teaching lessons or maybe some sort of a master class on some business fundamentals that I was really lucky to learn early on through some great teachers. So I have some really great information. So maybe I'll do that. We'll see. I'm going to think a little bit more about it. Day 59, nightly reading of The Wealthy Gardener, and I am going to do my best to read this as best as I can because I'm so tired tonight. Chapter 4, lesson 46, and it's called acquiescence. And I actually was not familiar with this word, but super interesting. Acquiescence. The want of ease leads to suffering, thought the Wealthy Gardener, and causes a life of undue frustrations. Accepting what is may be the first step to improving one's financial problems. Acquiescence is the reluctant acceptance of something without protest to change it or adopt to it. Accepting our life's current reality is the first step to improve financial conditions. It's facing financial stress, not ignoring it, to grow more secure. Expecting that life is hard and accepting that ultimately results in it being less painful, says Stephen Josephson, PhD. We can't necessarily get rid of pain, including the pain of losing a job or having to move, but we can get rid of suffering, and suffering is failing to accept what is. I stopped fighting against the present reality and started thinking clearly. I could focus my mental concentration on my goals. I could radiate a positive outcome, find the inner light, and feel grateful in advance for winning. My acquiescence freed me to focus on better things. I gained time and energy for mental practices. Suffering is basically the mind's refusal to accept reality as it is, said Marcus Thomas. Accept, then act. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. This will miraculously transform your whole life, advises Eckhart Tolle. Of course, such advice is easier said than done. In modern times, we may need to accept that we can't save money working a 40-hour job, that we can't have both financial freedom and live in the house of our dreams in an affluent neighborhood, that weekends aren't always for leisure if we want upward mobility, that the highest paying jobs are stressful and require solving big problems, and that prosperity requires daily sacrifices, inconveniences, and unglamorous work over many long hours. We are told too often that success is about throwing hard punches, but in many situations it is about taking hard punches. It is about survival. We can only win the war if we can stay alive to plan and fight another day. And those last two sentences just totally relate to what so many people are going through right now. The resistance to the unpleasant situation is the root of suffering, wrote Ram Dass. And the problem of resistance is that it occupies our mental energy and distracts our attention when we need our fullest powers the most. Acceptance of what has happened, said William James, is the first step to overcoming the consequence of many misfortune. There's always an arrow pointing to an X in life. When we suffer due to reality, we need to accept X. While writing this book, my father, who was on vacation at the time, sat down on a couch one day and died. Death is the ultimate X. And since my father's passing, we've been adjusting. We accept that life is finite, and his death reminds us to respect the passage of time. The life lesson, acquiescence. I caused my own stress by resisting my problems, but found that accepting reality was the start of progress. I love this chapter so much because with everything going on, this pandemic, COVID-19, and just the crazy amount of loss of life that we're experiencing, and so many people that are unexpectedly suffering from this pandemic and dying from it's exactly what this last line says. We have to accept that life is finite, and it really puts that passage of time on your radar and into your awareness. And so, I personally know of so many people that have lost their jobs and are getting laid off, and it's a tough pill to swallow, especially when we're in a situation that was really nobody's fault. And, I think even for myself as a business owner, I've already content with the idea that I can only do what I can do. And as long as I'm doing everything that I can do, then I'm okay with whatever this outcome ends up being. I've accepted that fact. I've accepted that this whole predicament that we're in, it's uncertain and no one really knows how it's going to roll out. So in the meantime, I've accepted the fact that I can only do whatever's within my power, and that I'm not going to just sit back and do nothing, but I will exercise every single option that I have. And then in the end, it'll play out the way that it plays out. And from there, I will just move forward in whichever way that I need to. So, I have accepted the reality of the situation, and that things could end up very badly, or they could end up being okay, but we just don't know. So this chapter on acquiescence is really interesting. And the quote in the beginning was actually really good too. It says, "If you enjoy the fragrance of a rose, you must accept the thorns which it bears." So on that note, I will leave you guys with the end of day 59. And again, as always, details where to buy this book is in the description down below, as well as details for this challenge as well. And it is definitely my bedtime. Good night, you guys. Take care. Bye.